Games Done Quick is a charity live stream event that happens multiple times a year, designed to showcase the best of the speedrunning community and help raise money for Doctors Without Borders and Prevent Cancer Foundation. At the summer 2024 Games Done Quick showcase, a very special guest was brought out for a return appearance, a Shiba Inu by the name of Peanut Butter. Peanut Butter was brought out with one simple goal: win a game against the computer, and Ken Griffey Jr. presents MLB with a special controller designed for PB to use. The game started out in PB's favor, but as the game went on, the computer gained a lead and the game had to go into extra innings. Finally, with a finish time of 29 minutes and 48 seconds, PB was able to close out the win.
Here we go. Top of the lineup. Excellent chance to take it. Go. Yeah!
Good boy!
You did it! Walk up, home run. Oh my God.
What a good boy! Oh, he's taking.
That is time.
Outside of the fact that this is yet another story about yet another good boy, and probably the closest we're going to get to an IRL equivalent of Airbud, I personally enjoy this story a lot, as it's a very solid case study that shows off the sheer creativity and out-of-the-box thinking that's almost a requirement if you want to participate in the speedrunning community. And there's plenty of other amazing stories I can point to, from perfectly running through all the tracks in Mario Kart 64, to attempting to play ranked Rainbow Six Siege with a Wii remote, to being the first person in the whole entire world to solo one of the hardest raid bosses in all of Destiny's franchise. While stories like these are always incredible to witness, they can make the whole idea of trying to get involved in the speedrunning community seem almost unapproachable and very intimidating at first. Fortunately, there are games out there that basically function as an intro to speedrunning 1001 college class. You may have heard about some of these games like Ultra Kill or Ghost Runner as examples, but I want to talk about a similar game in this vein that drastically changed my perception on my relation to games as a whole. So, if you have the time, I want to talk for a little bit about Neon White.
For your first assignment, you jokers will be cleaning out lower heaven.
Sounds easy enough.
Can't believe God himself decided to bless me with the thing I love most. A completely clueless boy.
This isn't fun for me, you know.
Our story begins with our main character being plucked from the literal depths of hell, given a weird-looking mask, and given a new name of Neon White. White, along with all the other neons, are offered by the believers of heaven a chance of redemption by participating in a special contest. The challenge is simple: kill the highest number of demons that are plaguing the lower depths of heaven and you will be offered a seat in paradise. There's just one problem though. White doesn't remember anything about his past at all, or what he even did to end up in hell in the first place. All he has to go off when he first arrives in heaven is vague feelings and hazy memories of the times he spent with other neons who seem to remember him perfectly fine. Amnesia aside, White still sets forth into heaven, spurred on by the prospect of redemption and the hopes to get his memories back, which, without spoiling too much, ultimately leads into a grand quest to save all of heaven from certain cataclysmic doom. This is a story that is very much anime inspired, so much so that apparently it's seen as the only real flaw of the game, at least according to Steam reviews. Though for me, I personally like the story. Maybe my tolerance for anime is a bit higher than most, but the game seems self-aware enough of what it is to the point where it's able to have fun with itself at its own expense. The fact that they have Steve Blum as the English voice actor for White gives me some solid indication of where Angel Matrix was trying to go with the vibe of the story. But even if anime isn't necessarily your cup of tea, the gameplay alone more than makes up for any perceived shortfalls you may have about the story. It's kind of difficult to put Neon White in one genre box, but at its core, it's essentially a first-person shooter puzzle platformer with a particular focus on speedrunning. Just like with the story premise, the whole point is to kill demons as fast as possible. The game is broken up into levels that at first seem fairly linear, with the whole goal of getting to the exit as fast as you can. The exit only unlocks after all the demons are dealt with. The way that you deal with the demons is with soul cards that you find strategically placed around the levels. You can hold up to 2 different soul cards in your deck and have 3 copies of the same card. These cards basically function as weapons that have 2 different modes. There's the normal fire mode where you expend ammo, but you can discard a card from your hand to give you a certain movement ability, helping you get to the end faster. Discarding a pistol lets you do a double jump, the shotgun lets you do a fire dash, the SMG lets you do a grand slam. You get the idea. All of the levels are expertly designed and do a fantastic job of leading the player on where to go next. Everything is laid out for you in a fairly intuitive way that's real easy to pick up on. Part of this comes down to the simple, high-contrast art design that makes it easy to make out where you're coming up on as you're blitzing through everything at breakneck speeds, but because the art style isn't that technically demanding, it also means you can run this game on basically anything, even a Switch. You'll soon come to realize that the whole central loop revolves around running levels back over and over and over again, trying to get faster and faster clears, because the game outright expects and encourages perfection of every level out of you. Once you get to the end of a level, you're shown a clear time, as well as your friend's leaderboard and a global leaderboard so you can see how well you're doing among others, and then you realize there's a lot of room for improvement. There's also certain milestones that the game uses to help gauge how well you're doing in the form of medals. Bronze medals you get for clearing the game in a certain amount of time, silver medals you get for doing a little bit better, gold medals can be earned by basically running flawlessly all the way to the end, and ace medals you get by going even further beyond and beginning to look for shortcuts you can take to help shave off even more time, and this is something the game helps you out with as well. Over time, as you're clearing and re-clearing levels, you gain something called insight, which unlocks certain features you can use to help you get better runs. Things like unlocking a ghost character that runs along with you at your personal best time, helping serve as a gauge for how you're doing and whether or not you need to reset the run and go again. Something that's going to happen often. And at a certain insight level, the game will give you a hint and a shortcut allowing you to shave off even more time. And that's just one that exists in every single level, but there's countless other shortcuts that exist across multiple levels of the whole game that people have discovered on high-tier speedruns. It's this whole sense of experimentation and discovery that would make speedrunning so fun to participate in. Seeing how your personal best time stack up against your friends or against every other players in the world all of a sudden becomes a lot less intimidating and turns into this friendly competition that encourages perfection and mechanics in a really encouraging, almost wholesome way. I look at games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or Sekiro, where the whole route of mastery at games like that can be very punishing and unforgiving, and that's deliberately by design. Granted, once you finally clear a boss or a certain encounter, it makes the whole struggle worth it, but the difficulty right out the gate can be a massive turnoff for a lot of people. But the difficulty scaling in Neon White, I personally found to be a lot more my speed, where it kept on throwing stuff at me at the perfect pace and I could see how much better I was getting in such a short amount of time. Plus, it also helped out a lot that I never really got bored of the music at all. I want to take some time to properly appreciate the music in this game because I don't feel like it's gotten the love or respect it really deserves. Just saying that Machine Girl understood the assignment when it came to designing this OST and then just moving on doesn't really do it proper justice. Machine Girl cooked so hard on this whole soundtrack, they served unto us as players a full 12-course meal with leftovers so plentiful you can meal prep them into a week and a half's worth of food. Seriously, this goes. Breakcore is a perfect genre fit for this kind of game to where it's basically a gimme. The fast-paced tempos and glitchy drums serve as a perfect backing soundtrack as you're cruising through the depths of lower heaven at a brisk Mach 1.5, mowing down every demon in your way. But they also perfectly match the vibe of this song to what you're doing in the game as well. Whether you're attending the morning service at church and hearing the chorus of believers, to trying your best not to touch the spikes as you make your way through a death maze, Team Fortress 2 style rocket jumping up sheer glass walls and ziplining across chasms that are further than the Grand Canyon, really making you feel like Spider-Man. It's the very specific attention to tiny little details like this that lead to deepening your immersion with Neon White and causing you to enjoy your time with the game that much more so. A lot of the music from the OST made its way into my Spotify 2024 Wrapped, and if you're interested, I've left a link below in the description box to Machine Girl's Bandcamp, so if you want to purchase the soundtrack outright or check out any of their other work, you're more than welcome to do so. I mentioned at the top of this video how this game drastically changed my perception of my relation to gaming as a whole, and I want to close out this video by expanding upon that idea. But in order to do that, I need to tell a bit of a side story. Both for the better and for the worse, Destiny 2 has been my primary game that I've been consistently playing for the past 5 years. The past 3 of those years I've spent in a clan known as Obsidian Gears. The clan leader, Gear, I met through an internet mutual friend, and we've become pretty close friends ever since. Chingyar is actually the one who put me onto Neon White in the first place, plus a couple of other games I've recently played like Final Fantasy 16 and Control. Chingyar and all the other people in the clan are outright cracked when it comes to Destiny, and I've definitely grown a lot, both as a guardian and as a person from spending time with them, particularly when Destiny's latest expansion, the Final Shape, released last year. Putting it more specifically, the Final Shape's raid Salvation's Edge ended up being a whole personal saga for me. Now for anybody not familiar with Destiny, anytime a new raid is released, it's a big deal. 48 hours after the raid goes live in-game, it exists in this special mode called Contest Mode. If you're able to clear the raid while Contest Mode is active, you and your whole fire team are guaranteed to get the exotic weapon to drop, and you also get access to a special emblem exclusively available in Contest Mode. But on top of going into the raid completely blind and not having any idea of mechanics, you're also going in deliberately underleveled, meaning everything from mini bosses to basic trash mobs will basically one-shot you if you let them. If you want to stand a chance at hanging in contest mode, you need to be basically the best of the best, having the best armor with the perfect stat rolls, the best weapons, the best teammates. Everything needs to be perfect. One single tiny mistake can cost you a run and lead to a wipe. Salvation's Edge went live on the Friday of the Final Shape's release week, and my experience with contest mode wasn't really that stellar. The way that my clan decided to tackle contest mode was to divide the clan up into two teams. Team 1 had the most mechanically skilled players, and their plan was to get through the raid as fast as possible. I ended up being on the second team that was trying to get through encounters as we could. It took Team 1 basically the entire 48 hours of the contest mode window to get up to the 4th encounter, and then they ended up calling it quits. Unfortunately for my team, things didn't go that well either. By the time we finally got into the raid, we spent all of Friday on the first encounter, not being able to progress further, as these small little mistakes ended up costing us runs, and we ended up having to reset over and over and over again. Eventually, most of the team decided to take an 8-hour sleep break and come back the next day with some replacements we had on standby. Finally, after 15 hours of pain, misery, suffering, and a whole lot of scuff, we were finally able to get lucky and clear the first encounter. Watch that bomb.
You better blow up. You better go.
Please, dude. Oh god, no!
Did everybody deposit? Did everybody deposit?
Yes! Let's go! Let's ride!
Guys, calm down.
Holy shit!
Jesus!
Hey, to be in
Lord.
fairness, Hansel,
Oh my God.
for me and Carrie, this is hour 15.
Jesus, that man vocals changed.
No, he's allowed to pop like that.
Can't even do that.
Oh my god, bro.
Step bro,
That's so good.
I got to piss real bad. I'm gonna go.
I don't even care about the rest of the raid anymore, bro. I just want to get this shit done.
I got the answer.
Do we want to get to the next encounter and then take a breather?
It's fucking terrible.
I think
I got
he
that SMG.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
he's already.
We made it to the next encounter and took a break afterwards to allow the original Team 2 members time to get back online, with the plan of getting the rest of them caught up with the ones who cleared. Unfortunately, it ended up being the same situation as Friday, with us beating our heads against the wall and not being able to make the clear. Saturday eventually rolled into Sunday and the contest mode modifier went away, unlocking the raid in normal difficulty for everybody to attempt. But even if you didn't have to worry about the power differential, it didn't really change the overall difficulty of this raid. To this day, Salvation's Edge is one of the most mechanically intense raids in the entire history of Destiny, with the 4th encounter Verity being the main hang-up that a lot of teams had on contest mode. My whole experience with Salvation's Edge contest mode led me to the lowest point I've been at mentally in my whole life of gaming. Somewhere in the back of my head over the weekend, I had accepted the fact that nobody in my clan was going to clear the raid, but having the Final Ship release week end on that note definitely soured my whole experience. I asked for the whole week off of work to try to make sure that I was as ready as I could be for Friday and Saturday, suffering through the server issues on day 1 of the Final Shape's release, trying to get through the campaign on the hardest difficulty, unlocking what I could of the new subclass Prismatic. All that time, all that effort, all that energy was put into trying to make sure I was as ready for Friday and Saturday as I could be. And even if I was enjoying the grind in the moment, going through what could basically be described as Schrodinger's clear with the first encounter, and having my mind broken in 20 different pieces after seeing how confusing Verity is, made me sink even lower mentally, and I began to wonder if I was even going to be able to clear the raid at all, never mind on contest mode. In the midst of the admittedly one too many crash outs I had while trying to get a hand on how the raid works, there was this genuine fear in the back of my head that the bar for what Bungie wants proper endgame difficulty difficulty to be had been raised to an astronomically absurd degree. So much so that if I ever wanted to clear the raid on normal difficulty, I needed to be on the same skill level mechanically as people like Saltagrepo, Aegis the Relic, or even Dado. I didn't want to get left behind while my other clanmates were clearing counters without me, getting better at the game while I was left in the dust. But in spite of all my fears, I was eventually able to learn how all the mechanics of the raid worked, and was a part of the first fire team in my clan that was able to clear every encounter of Salvation's Edge on master difficulty while doing the optional challenges that give you additional loot. And somewhere in the midst of all the grind, I feel like I had forgotten how far I had come as a guardian. But certain conversations I had with my clanmates helped set me straight. Back when I first joined the clan, putting it nicely, there was a lot of room for improvement. The very idea of attempting a Grandmaster Nightfall used to low-key scare me back in the day, never mind attempting some of Destiny's hardest content. But over time I was able to find my niche in the clan and got consistently better at being able to contribute to a fire team in a meaningful way. And it was Neon White that helped me put this into perspective. I ended up streaming my whole first playthrough of Neon White on my personal Twitch channel at Changear's request, basically going on a whole zero to hero type story. When I first started playing Neon White, I didn't know what I was doing, and it was all I could do to earn bronze and silver medals at the beginning. The very idea of trying to get an ace medal seemed almost impossible to me, but on one particular stream I was working on getting better times on past levels, and on one particular level run, everything fell into place perfectly, and I was finally able to get my first ace clear. There we go.
Let's see anyone beat
That was an ace? Holy shit! Oh, wow! I wasn't even expecting an ace. Oh, man. Damn, that feels good. It's at this point that I realized that if I can get an ace medal on this level, I can get an ace on every level, and this led me to go all the way back to the start of the game to get ace clears on everything. And even though I've yet to get an ace medal on every level, the fact that I know it's possible is more than a victory enough. I ended up getting bronze and silver medals at the start of my journey with Neon White, to my first clear of the final level being an ace-worthy clear. There's this author by the name of Ralph Koster who wrote a book on video game design called A Theory of Fun, where the whole big idea of the book is that fun is learning applied. Here's one quote that I found from a skill up video. Quote, "It's the act of solving puzzles that makes games fun. In other words, with games, learning is the drug. And it's this idea that makes Neon White work so well as a game, and what made my time with it so memorable and enjoyable. A lot of times when it comes to games, the best way to get good is by just playing the game and learning from your experience." The main takeaway that I got from Neon White is that I am a person that is capable of learning and growth, and this is something that can be applied to everything, from speedrunning to Destiny to other IRL life skills. And it's mainly for this reason, along with all the other reasons I just mentioned in this video, that I highly recommend Neon White.